Hey everyone, it's the Tuesday afternoon edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, and we're going to take a look at a lot of different things today, and we're going to focus on the short term because the short term pretty interesting across the region. This is the snapshot of conditions at about 2:15 p.m. on this Tuesday. Look at the temperature difference across Ohio. It's still fairly cloudy around Youngstown, although clouds are thinning out. It's 53 here. It's 77 just north of Cincinnati. So a huge temperature spread from northeast to southwest across the Buckeye State today. And this clearing is trying to work east. It's going to struggle a little bit for the next hour or so, but I think a lot of the WFMJ viewing area, especially our Ohio counties, will see some sun before the afternoon is through. We do have some showers trying to pop up with some embedded thunder up around Cedar Point, around Sandusky, Put-in Bay, heading out over Lake Erie. And our steady rain from earlier today has pushed off to the east, and now it's a cool, cloudy, and damp day over in Altoona, Johnstown, and State College, PA. Taking a look at the larger picture here, and there's a lot to look at today. Let me take off the temperatures, make this a little less busy. We're keeping an eye on the south again for the threat of severe weather. Tornado watch out in Mississippi, down into parts of Louisiana, southern Alabama. They're going to possibly issue a new watch out here in North Carolina. So those are areas that are under the gun. And, you know, as we've been talking about, we have an outside chance of seeing some stronger thunderstorms up here in parts of Ohio today. If you watched my video from this morning, I outlined why I'm a little skeptical, why when it comes to the threat for hail, damaging winds, really bad thunderstorms here in the Youngstown area. I still think that the threat is higher off to the west. But the yellow area here highlighted, that's the enhanced risk of severe weather for the rest of the day today. So let's talk about what's going on in the atmosphere here. I'm going to bring up what we call the CAPE values, convective available potential energy. And basically what that means is it's a measure of how unstable the atmosphere is. And an unstable atmosphere means that as air parcels rise, they can keep rising. The air parcels that rise are warmer than their environment, and warm air is lighter than cold air, and so they just keep rising. They form clouds and thunderstorms. We have a very stable atmosphere overhead here in Youngstown this afternoon. We had rain all morning. The atmosphere just has not had much sunshine to warm it up. We're in the cool sector. Our warm front is kind of like right in through here, and anywhere east of the front, it's just too cloudy, cool, and damp for much to get going in terms of thunderstorms. But the CAPE values are getting up above 1,000 joules per kilogram out in parts of western and central Ohio, and that's fairly significant. So those are the CAPE values this afternoon. Let's take a look at the what we call the significant tornado parameter, a measure of any number of things, but generally the ingredients for tornadic activity. They're not in place in Ohio. Nothing is showing up. You'll notice down in parts of the south, the significant tornado parameter, is starting to ratchet up a little bit. So no problems, I don't think, with tornadoes in Ohio, although one can't be totally ruled out, I suppose, out in the central part of the state. The supercell parameter, supercell thunderstorm, the strongest type of thunderstorm. That parameter is noticeable from I-77 on west, not through the roof or anything, but there is, some instability out there. So the supercell parameter has come up. And one of the things we need for thunderstorms to get going is moisture. Here's a look at the dew point values here in the 2 o'clock hour. We're still in the upper 40s in terms of our dew points in Youngstown, but just off to the west, where the warm front is and where the sun is out, dew points are rising. So the moisture content of the atmosphere is higher. Mansfield, Columbus, Sandusky. So that's the zone that has the best, kind of fuel for those storms as we head into the afternoon. So that's the area that I'm most concerned about. Let's bring up our latest high-resolution computer model, see what it has to say, the high-resolution rapid refresh model. We're going to bring up the simulated radar product here. Give me just a second to load the data. And this is what it thinks the radar will look like. I'm going to fast forward to about 4 o'clock here, a couple of hours or an hour and a half after I record this. It doesn't have much around at 4 o'clock. Here it's 5 o'clock. And you'll notice, even where the atmosphere is pretty unstable, out in central and western Ohio, things are still just kind of having a hard time getting going through the end of the afternoon. Finally, though, as we head towards sunset this evening, here's 7 o'clock and then 8 o'clock, we're starting to get some beefier-looking echoes out here along I-75, Dayton to Toledo. And so, that's a zone. It may take a while, but that's the zone I think that's still most likely to see some heftier storms. But it may take until the very end of the day. But you'll notice back here in the Youngstown area, Mahoning and Shenango Valleys, there's not much going on. I think for the rest of the daylight hours today, it's going to be largely dry. There could be a quick shower. I can't even rule out a quick thunder shower. But I would say 90% of the time from now through sunset, it's going to be dry here in the Youngstown area. Now, we're not going to be dry overnight. Here's a look at the simulated radar at 10 p.m. A decent looking line of thunderstorms trying to get going here from Detroit back through Sandusky down towards Mansfield. That's at 10 o'clock. Here's 11 o'clock. And then midnight. This continues to push east, probably weakening some as it does so, as it heads into the more stable environment. But nonetheless, despite the lack of, I think, thunderstorms overnight, we're going to get wet again. Last night was pretty wet. Tonight's going to be pretty wet. This is at 2 o'clock in the morning. Wet weather still around. Let's switch sources, head over to the North American model because it'll take us beyond this time step. Here's 2 in the morning, and then I'll skip forward to, and a lot of us are starting to get up and around for our Wednesday morning. This is at 7 a.m. At this point, the steadiest of the rain's probably trying to push away as we head towards daybreak, 6, 7 o'clock. Here's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Maybe a shower around, but not a lot. We'll get into tomorrow afternoon here. Here's 2 in the afternoon. Spotty activity. I think tomorrow is going to be a sunnier day. It's going to be a warmer day. And it's not going to be a terribly wet day. I think there will be spotty showers around, and yes, there could be a thunderstorm in spots. But I think you can get in some outdoor activities on Wednesday with better success than you could earlier today. It's not going to be a real consistent rain tomorrow afternoon like we had this morning. So that's the way it looks for Wednesday. Severe weather, of course, has been a big national story, and it will continue to be this afternoon. Quick look at the storm reports here from yesterday. Lots of tornadic activity down in the south, and we'll be keeping an eye on North Carolina as well as we head through this afternoon. Now let's talk about the rest of our forecast. Of course, it's an unsettled one, and the reason for that is, take a look at Wednesday afternoon here. We're just dominated by this huge swirling area of low pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere out across the Midwest. This thing is just dominating the weather map across the lower 48 on Wednesday. Let's head into Thursday then, and Thursday, the colder air is going to wrap in as this upper low kind of opens up. Watch this thing open up from Wednesday into Thursday. It's no longer a real well-defined circular area of low pressure. It's more of an open trough now. So it's making some progress, and as it makes progress, it's going to drag some colder air in. So I think it's going to be noticeably chillier Thursday into Friday, and yes, there could be some spotty showers around. Not a ton of rain at the end of the week, but it's just going to be damp and cool. Weekend at this point, largely uneventful, but I think there can be a shower or two. The general pattern this weekend is still dominated by a trough of low pressure, not necessarily in the Midwest anymore, but out here across the northeastern U.S. Ridge of high pressure building in the Plain States finally is going to try to come east next week. We're going to be in a damp and cool, below average pattern, I think, through about Sunday or Monday. And then middle of next week, we'll finally try to bust out of this. That ridge is going to drift east, so we should be in somewhat better shape towards the end of next week. All right, that's your Tuesday weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you on the news tonight at 6 and 11, and I'll be keeping you updated throughout the evening. Facebook and Twitter, particularly Twitter. Even if you don't post anything, if you're thinking about getting a Twitter account, do it. Sign up for it. Follow me on Twitter. You'll get all of my updates on there. You never have to tweet once in your life, but you can find all sorts of great weather information, not only from me, but from a lot of other people as well. So I really encourage you to get on Twitter, but Facebook's fine as well. Just keep in mind that not all of my posts show up in your news feed on Facebook. You got to go to my page to see them all. All right. Thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you tomorrow.